Extremely sad news coming in at this point. AIMS has confirmed that Manmohan Singh, the former Prime Minister of India, has passed away. Tehseen, if I can come in. Tehseen, if you could come in at this point, Tehseen. A very, very sobering moment, a very sad moment, a stalwart, a statesman by all means passing away.
Absolutely, Sneha. At the onset, deepest condolences to Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji's family, to the Congress Party, to all fellow Indian citizens. A stalwart of Indian politics, one of the last few gentlemen of Indian politics, a great Prime Minister, a great economist, a believer in freedom of speech, a freedom of the media. He allowed the media to ask him questions, a man who kept his dignity in all situations, and a man who steered India in a number of crises. The economic crisis of 1991, we all know, but he staked his government in 2008 to get us the nuclear deal. A man of impeccable reputation, and as he said, history will be kinder to him. Today, as we all sit here remembering his tenure, both as RBI chairperson, as Prime Minister, as Finance Minister, this country will have only gratitude to him. Thank you, Dr. Manmohan Singh, for the service you've done.
Mr. Tehseen, you know, of course, there are people who love him, there are people who respect him, and there are people who also are big critiques of Manmohan Singh. In fact, I'm being joined by Niyamika very quickly, Tehseen, if we can go to Niyamika. Yes. Niyamika, can you tell us what's happening around there at that point?
Well, right now we are standing outside the Circuit House in Belgavi, and just a few minutes before it was the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who has just left from Belgavi. They are directly coming to the national capital after they had received this news of the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, and for that reason, in fact, the Congress Party has also taken a decision to call off tomorrow's rally, which was going to take place here in Belgavi, and all the leaders are also leaving from here as they are also, speaking to media and also condoling the death of the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, as they are also saying that that was basically the golden era of our country, and they are very much sad about the demise of the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, as tomorrow there was going to be a rally of the Congress Party in which the Congress Party was going to discuss about the constitution and other issues as well. But now, after receiving this news, the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge as well as the Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, has decided to go back to Delhi. In fact, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has already arrived there at AIMS, and in fact, the other senior leaders are also going to be there. It might be possible that both the Mallikarjun Kharge as well as Rahul Gandhi will directly go to AIMS first, and then only the Congress Party will prepare a strategy, will chalk out a strategy for the upcoming days.
Right. Niyamika, thank you very much for joining us. In fact, there's a statement by the All India Institute of Medical Sciences as well, where they have gone to say that he's been treated for age-related medical conditions and had a sudden loss of consciousness at home on 26 December 2024. Resuscitative measures were started immediately at home. He was brought to the medical emergency at AIMS, New Delhi, at around 8:06 in the evening. And despite all efforts, he could not be revived and was declared dead at 9:51 in the night. That's the official statement from the hospital, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, that has come in. Extremely sad news coming in. Tehseen Poonawalla, how is this to be looked at? I mean, India is at a very different place at this point, but we must remember that Manmohan Singh was somebody who very poignantly, very strongly, and as a statesman really led India through some very, very difficult times.
Yeah, and two many incidences come to my mind. The 1991 economic crisis, of course, where he opened up the economy, and he was criticized a lot for that. We are where we are today because of him opening up the economy. But I remember too, the 2008 nuclear deal, which I spoke about. The left government, which was supporting the UPA, backed out. He staked his government and got us the nuclear deal, something that India required. And he kept saying that India requires energy to eliminate poverty. I remember a personal interaction with Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh when the UPA got in the right to food bill. And I remember him briefing all of us who used to come on television to defend the government. And he said, India has food, India has hungry people. The food must reach the hungry people no matter what the cost. And I think it was such a profound statement for someone to say that, for somebody to go out there and say that. I think he got us the right to education, the RTI under his government, legislations that have transformed this country. I don't think we realize as a nation, I feel, how grateful we are for his leadership and the vision that he had. He had a vision for India.
All right, I'm being joined at this point by Charan Singh at this point. Very good evening, Mr. Charan Singh. What would be your first reaction at this point? How do you look at what's happened, Mr. Charan Singh?
It's a great loss, not only for the Congress party, but for the country itself. A great statesman, a legend, a visionary leader who visualized what India should be, who led India for 10 years. And before that also, he had a long career as a finance minister or as a governor of RBI and various other positions on which he was there. This is a big loss for the country, and the nation will always remember this legend who could, remove India from this troubled situation when the entire globe or the entire world was facing an economic crisis. And India had emerged successful during that time also. He's a legend, and the whole nation and the generations to come will remember Dr. Manmohan Singh and his service to the country.
Right. Mr. Charan Singh, if I can ask you this question, what are we expecting? It's too early to speak about this at this moment, but what is going to be expected in the next few hours in the national capital?
I feel each and every person from any political party or any person living in this country has a lot of respect for Dr. Manmohan Singh, and Dr. Manmohan Singh will be given full honors on his last journey.
Right. Thank you very much, Charan Singh, for joining us and sharing your tribute for Manmohan Singh. I'm sure much of the country would be in agreement with you. I believe we are also being joined by Rajkumar Varka of the Congress. Is that correct? All right, Mr. Rajkumar Varka, thank you very much for tuning in. Mr. Varka, what would you remember Manmohan Singh the most for?
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह अमृतसर की इस पावन धरती पे जिन्होंने जन्म लिया है और अमृतसर के लोगों को आज बहुत बड़ा सदमा लगा है। और क्योंकि मैं अमृतसर से नुमाइंदगी करता हूँ, अमृतसर मेरी कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी है और डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह का जन्म अमृतसर में हुआ था। और मैं समझता हूँ कि पूरी दुनिया की जब इकोनॉमी फेल हो रही थी और डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह के होते हुए इस देश में कोई किसी का बाल मंका नहीं कर सका और देश की इकोनॉमी एकदम स्वस्थ थी। और आज पूरी दुनिया डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह को याद करती है। मैं समझता हूँ कि आज देश के सबसे बड़े इकोनॉमिस्ट का देहांत हुआ है और दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा विद्वान आज चला गया।
जी, राजकुमार वर्का जी, अगर मैं आपसे ये पूछ सकूं, आपका कभी उनके साथ पर्सनल इंटरेक्शन हुआ था? आपने कभी उनसे पर्सनली बात कही थी? जो आपके लिए सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग मोमेंट रहा हो उस इंटरेक्शन के भाग का?
बहुत दफा, क्योंकि वो अमृतसर के रहने वाले थे और अमृतसर से उनका बहुत लगाव था और मैं अमृतसर से ही नुमाइंदगी करता हूँ और वो अक्सर हमारी उनके साथ मुलाकात होती रही है और उनसे बहुत कुछ सीखने का मौका मिला है, उनसे बहुत कुछ समझने का मौका मिला है। और हमें फख्र इस बात का है कि मैंने डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की पावन धरती से जन्म लिया है। आज अमृतसर का एक एक नागरिक जो है डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह को ये खबर सुनकर अमृतसर के लोग बहुत दुखी हैं। जहां पंजाब के लोग दुखी हैं, देश के लोग दुखी हैं, वहां अमृतसर की उनकी जन्मभूमि के लोग बहुत दुखी हैं।
जी, बहुत शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए राजकुमार वर्कर जी. I'm also being joined by Mr. Atul right now, Atul Londe from Maharashtra. From Maharashtra, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Um, what would be your tribute to Manmohan Singh at this point?
It's great loss not only for the party but also for the country, because he has sailed us through many economic problems. In 1991, he has started economic reforms, which has taken us India to new heights in the world. And by the time he finishes his term in 2014, we started dreaming of becoming the economic world power. These are all his contributions, and the major contribution which we will remember forever is in 2008. We have survived economic crisis of the world because of his policies, because of the steps he took, and that is why we are standing here today. So it's a great loss, great loss. No one can feel this.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Atul Londe, for joining us and sharing your tribute. A big moment, a very sad moment in Indian politics. Former Prime Minister of India is no more. He was not only the former Prime Minister of India, he was also a chief economic advisor. That's how he really kick-started his political career a few years into being an economic advisor for Ministry of Commerce. He was also a chief economic advisor and then rose on to be the former Prime Minister of India. I'm being joined at this point by my colleague Rishabh. Very good evening, Rishabh. A very, very sad moment, but you are at AIMS, where a lot of Congress leaders have already rushed in. Could you tell us what the scenes are around you?
Definitely a very, very sad news coming in. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is no more, is what the confirmation has come in from All India Institute of Medical Sciences as per the medical bulletin that has been released by the AIMS authorities. He was brought to AIMS at 8:06 and he passed away at age of 92 at 19:51 p.m. If we talk about, Dr. Manmohan Singh, anyone, of our age would remember him as the person who, brought in the revolution in this country when it comes to, opening up the economy in 1990s, the liberalization that he worked upon, the way he handled the economy in 1990s, and the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh as an economist, as the Governor of Reserve Bank of India, as Finance Minister, furthermore as Prime Minister of India as well. The way, back in 2008 when the world was reeling under depression, it was Dr. Manmohan Singh's leadership that India was still,
Right.
showing an upward trend, and that is something that Dr. Manmohan
Right.
Singh has left as his legacy in this country. From 2004 to 2014, he was the Prime Minister. Many of the youngsters, for many of the youngsters, he would
Right.
be the first Prime Minister they would remember in their lifetime. So Dr. Manmohan Singh, a leading light of India and Indian system, is left
Rishabh,
foreverly aboard.
give us a few minutes, Rishabh. We'll just return to you. I'm being joined by Nalin Kohli as well at this point. Mr. Nalin Kohli, Prime Minister of India, has put out his tribute to former Prime Minister of India, that's Narendra Modi, has gone ahead and paid his tribute to Manmohan Singh, saying that India mourns the loss of one of its most distinguished leaders. Rising from humble origins, he rose to become a respected economist. He served in various government positions, including the finance ministry, and leaving a very strong imprint on our economic policy over the years. As our Prime Minister, he made extensive efforts to improve people's lives. How do you look at this, and how do you remember former Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh? Mr. Nalin Kohli.
What Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has put out in a very short set of sentences, he has succinctly put out what only Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji stood for. The fact of the matter is that anyone would recognize India's economic growth today would remember that one of the early steps and important steps was the liberalization under Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, who led that liberalization. Dr. Manmohan Singh, of course, held several posts, and as you said, finally finance minister, and eventually served as the Prime Minister of India for 10 years. There's no doubt about it. He was a gentle person, a gentleman. He was a man who nobody expected would be Prime Minister, but when he did, he turned out to be a Prime Minister who would be there for 10 years. A man who was always driven by economy, being an economist himself. And through his period from 1991, and then again in the period of 2004, obviously his first love, as I wouldn't say I would personally be able to comment on it, but certainly it appears his first love always was economics and therefore India's economic growth. I had the occasion of meeting Dr. Manmohan Singh in 2018, the wedding. And I remember he was very sweet and polite and actually called out to me to say, Nalin, I watch you on TV and I like the way you speak. And it was very endearing because I didn't have any occasion prior to that having ever met with Dr. Manmohan Singh. And this was at someone's wedding. And then he told me something which I didn't know, that is, he also was from the Kohli clan. In that sense, he didn't use the word Kohli, but his surname Kohli, but he himself was Dr. Manmohan Singh Kohli, as he told me. So that was my only interaction, but I can only say personally that for that brief interaction, it was endearing that someone like him, who had been Prime Minister of India for 10 years, just engaged with somebody from the opposition, I would say, because I was on TV, obviously, always on a position of the BJP, which I've been associated with for over 2 decades. And my position has always been clearly anti-Congress in terms of speaking on TV and criticizing whatever we felt was not the Congress policies that were correct. So it was a personal interaction, a brief interaction. And today, when the news has come in, obviously it becomes a moment for any one of us who has interacted with him personally, even if it's fleetingly for 2 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes. It becomes a day to just pray for his departed soul getting eternal peace. And our condolences to his family members, and all those who have been closely associated with him.
Nalin Kohli, if I can ask you one more question, do you think with the passing away of Mr. Manmohan Singh, it's possibly an end of an era in terms of the style, the exchange, and the mannerisms of a statesman that Manmohan Singh represented in Indian politics?
Every political personality who has, or a son of Mother India who has served India for a significant period of life, their going will obviously be seen as the end of a certain era that they represent. But I think that's the nature of life in terms of this would be as true today as it may be 20 years in the future for someone else. Because time goes, and as passing of time, things change. And what people have played, or anyone who has held office, and the highest office of the land, their decisions would obviously be seen as part of the progress of India towards being what it is today. And therefore, it would be recognized as the end of an era. So there's no doubt about it. Dr. Manmohan Singh's contribution to public life ended in 2014 in that sense, after the UPA government was voted out by the people of India, and Prime Minister Modi came in as the Prime Minister and has won the 3 elections in a row. But if you take it further back, then he is an economist, someone who taught the subject, worked in various responsibilities, and that was also an era which saw India moving away from a restricted economy to a more liberal economy, and the challenges that obviously had to come with the opening up of the Indian economy.
Right. Thank you very much, Nalin Kohli, for sharing your tribute to Manmohan Singh. Thank you very much for your time. Well, if we do remember what the former Prime
अत्यंत दुखद समाचार है कि डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री वो हम लोगों के बीच में नहीं रहे। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को बहुत नजदीक से मैंने देखा है। बहुत ही सहृदय व्यक्ति थे और हमेशा एक साधारण बात से करते करते भी बहुत ऊंचाइयों तक की बात वो कहते थे, कहे जाते थे। देश को जो आर्थिक संकट जो 90s का था उससे उबारने का काम है, वित्त मंत्री की हैसियत से उतारने का काम उन्होंने किया। और मैं समझता हूं कि उन जैसे व्यक्ति की काबिलियत वाला व्यक्ति ही इस काम को कर सकता था। और आर्थिक संकट से उबरने के साथ आगे तक एक महान शक्ति बना देना, आर्थिक दृष्टि से एक देश का सशक्तिकरण करना, ये भी उनकी नीतियों की वजह से ये सब कुछ संभव हो सका है। और देश हमेशा हमेशा उनको याद करेगा।